Hello, and welcome to Mr. Rikard's reading class. The lesson today is about the literacy skill of reading comprehension. What is it? Why is it important to us, especially with our ELL students? And what are some strategies we can use to improve our reading comprehension if the student is struggling or even you yourself might be struggling? So, reading comprehension, what exactly is it? Reading comprehension means you understand what you just read. So, you can read a book all day long, or an article, a magazine, whatever you might be reading. You can pronounce the words, say them out loud to the world. But if you do not understand what exactly these words mean to you, what the definitions mean, sorry, there's a bit of a glare. There you go. If you don't know what these words mean, what the actual definitions of the words are, what them put together means, what the writer's trying to convey to you across the page through the words, then reading is still can be fun and interesting, but it's not as valuable to us. You have to have reading comprehension to make reading valuable to its max effect. Okay? So reading comprehension means you understand what you read. All right. I have a lot of students, like I was saying, they can open a book. They can read the words. It says, "Who loves you?" Let me tell you this. They can read those words. They can pronounce it. They can break it up into syllables even. But do they fully understand what those words mean and what it is trying to say to them? Okay? So that's reading comprehension. The reason ELL students might struggle with reading comprehension is it's one of the final skills you get with reading. First, the student does have to learn how to pronounce words. They're going to have to learn the alphabet, all the phonics, everything that goes involved with reading. But the ultimate goal is to comprehend what you're reading and to gain knowledge from it, or maybe just entertainment from it. So ELL students, at first, they're going to be able to read and pronounce words, but they still have to really work on their reading comprehension. And then they're translating sometimes in their head, trying to comprehend between two different languages. My wife is an immigrant, and then my son speaks multiple languages, and I am learning multiple languages. I'm trying to learn Spanish so I can work with my students more, and I'm trying to learn Vietnamese because my wife and my son are both half Vietnamese, and they speak Vietnamese, and they can read Vietnamese and English and comprehend it. But, for example, my son, when he reads in English, he can comprehend straight into English because he thinks in English. But when he reads in Vietnamese, he can read Vietnamese, but he has to switch the comprehension from Vietnamese to English pretty much in his head. So he's doing extra steps the whole time just to do reading comprehension. So it's going to be the same with someone who might be thinking in Spanish in their head, all right? But they're reading English. They're doing translations just to get to the reading comprehension. So it's extra work for them, so they need to stay on top of it. I know it's unfortunate, but ELL students, you just got to be extra good at reading comprehension. And I believe you can do it. So, what are two strategies we can do to improve our reading comprehension, all right? What are two strategies we can do to improve our reading comprehension? All right. One strategy we can do is summarization. What I mean by summarization is you read a book, read an article, magazine, whatever it may be, and then I want you to summarize what you just read to yourself. You can even start with reading one page and then trying to summarize that page. Now, summarizing is you're just focusing on the key points, the key elements of what happened in that story, okay? So summarization is reading a book and then retelling what happens very briefly and focusing on the key points and elements, all right? So that's strategy number one to help us with reading comprehension. Strategy number two to help us with reading comprehension is generating questions. So the student would pretty much be acting like a teacher. They're going to read a book, a magazine, whatever it might be, and then they are going to generate or create a little quiz over that book. Generating questions, creating questions. It can be like 3 questions, 3 to 5 questions, that is fine. But it challenges yourself. You read a book, and then you have to think to yourself, what are 3 questions I can ask about that book? Well, you better have actually comprehended what you read to generate those 3 questions. And if you can't generate those 3 questions, then it tells the student that maybe they didn't comprehend everything they read, and they need to go back in and reread the book. Or maybe they can think of a question for like the first chapter of the book, but the middle of the book, they can't think of any questions. So that's a sign to them that they comprehended the first part of the book, but the middle part of the book, their comprehension started going down, and they need to go back and reread and focus on that part of the book. Okay, so again, literacy skill is reading comprehension. Our two strategies is summarization and generating questions. So what we're going to do today with Mr. Rikard, I have 3 books here. They're all different skill levels for about elementary age kids. I work with elementary age kids, and elementary is of course where we learn to read, right? So I have I Love You Like No Other. I know the words might be kind of hard to see, but I'm going to read what needs to be read, and you can hear what I say, okay? I Love You Like No Other. This is more of a kindergarten, first grade level book, all right? Then we have The Grumpy Monkey. This is about a 3rd grade level book. And then we have the notorious Harry Potter, the first one. The very first book is a lot easier than the other books, and I do have the book that has some of the pictures and artwork that helps the children comprehend what's going on a little more. But the first Harry Potter book is about 5th grade, 6th grade reading level, so my more advanced students would be working on this, trying to comprehend it, give me a summarization of this book, and generate some questions about this book. Alright, but going back to the basics. For example, you're working with a kindergarten or a 1st grader, right? You want to see if they're actually comprehending what they read in this book. And if they are not comprehending what they read in this book, what are some strategies we can do to practice our reading comprehension, right? So the book is called I Love You Like No Other. Now the student might be able to open this book and read it very well. It says, "Who loves you? Let me tell you this. My love for you is strong. I seal it with a kiss," because there's a seal here, right? "We belong together. This I know is true." Got some B's. "You make me very hoppy. You stick to me like glue." Hoppy, kangaroo. "I love you like no other. You truly are the best. My special little squeak heart, a step above the rest." Squeak. Got a mouse there. "We make the perfect pair together every day," with some lions. "Positively amazing in every single way." So if you notice, every single page has had a parent animal with their kid animal, and there's been some type of animal pun with the animal, right? "You are so dear to me, very sweet and oh so kind." 2 deers standing next to each other. "Giving you hedge hugs is always on my mind. No bunny could compare. I miss when we're apart. I love you very much. You're always in my heart." All right. So that is the end of the book. Now, a student might be able to read this book, pronounce those words very well. But what we would need to do is ask the student, what is the overall meaning of this book, and can you give me a brief description or summary of this book in just a few sentences? This is a very simple book, so a summary of this book is just going to be maybe 1 or 2, 3 sentences. So a good summary of this book would be, well, Mr. Rikard, this book was about how parent animals love their kid animals. Every single page that I saw had a parent animal with some type of kid animal. And then also, there was really funny jokes on every page using some type of animal pun. Okay, so that would be a good summary of this book. It's a very basic book. There's not much else you can do. But this is for kindergarten and 1st grade level. If a kindergarten and 1st grader can tell you the summary of this book is that the book's about the parent animal loving the kid, and that they were making funny jokes throughout the book with the animals' names, that would be amazing. Now, the other strategy we would do to improve reading comprehension on this book is generating questions. So, simply tell the student, I need 3 questions from this book to test someone else's knowledge. Let's say little Billy over there is going to read the book. We want to make a quiz for little Billy. Can you make a 3-question quiz for me over this book? All right. The first page, for example, here's 3 questions like a kindergartner could create. The first page of the book has what animal, right? Very simple. Then you can say every page of the book has a parent animal and a kid animal, or their sister animal. And the correct answer would, of course, be a kid animal, right? A baby animal, because it's always a parent and their baby. And then a 3rd question could be something simple like, What was the last animal in the book mentioned? And the last animal in the book was a bear, and they love you very much, right? So that would be three good generated questions for this book to test the student's reading comprehension or to make a student use critical thinking to improve their reading comprehension, right? And that would improve an ELL student's reading comprehension as well because it's going to make them think and generate questions in English over a book that they read in English. Moving on. So let's say you're moving on to like a third grade level class. Grumpy Monkey is a great book for that level. Now, I'm not going to read this whole book, and I'm not going to read the whole Harry Potter book, of course, because we're on a time hack here. But Grumpy Monkey is basically about, you guessed it, a monkey that is not so happy. He is grumpy. Now, throughout the book, it says the monkey woke up. His name is Jim Pansy, and he just doesn't feel like anything's right now. He's kind of grumpy, but he doesn't want to admit that he's grumpy. All the animals are like, you look grumpy, you look sad, you look mad, you're slouching, your body language isn't good. You're just putting off negative vibes to the world. But Jim's like, I'm not grumpy. I'm not grumpy. Everything's fine. I'm not grumpy. Then finally, towards the end of the book, Jim realizes, maybe I am a little grumpy. So, he realizes he is a little grumpy, and then he realizes that he kind of hurt some people's feelings being grumpy and denying it, and that it's okay to be grumpy sometimes. He sees his friend Norman grumpy because Norman got poked by a porcupine. And once he sees his friend Normie is okay being grumpy too, then Jim's like, sometimes it's okay being grumpy, and admitting that you're grumpy can improve your day. So, a student's going to read this book, he can sound it out, he or she can sound it out perfectly, but you want to see if they got reading comprehension. Ask them to do a summary of the book. Okay, I pretty much just did a summary because we didn't read it straight through. But a good summary of this book would be about, say, something like Jim Pansy woke up grumpy one morning. He went throughout his day being grumpy, but he did not want to admit it to his friends that he was grumpy. Finally, towards the end of the day, he saw his friend Norman being grumpy, and he realized that being grumpy is okay sometimes. And admitting your problems sometimes helps you work through them. So that would be a good summarization of this book. And then generating questions. Could be anything that the student wants to ask about this book. What is the main character's name of this book? Jim Pansy. Great reading comprehension. You need to focus on key elements of a book, such as the main character's name. What is the main character's name? Or what is the name of the friend of the main character? Well, his name is Norman. He's the big gorilla that helped him. And then a third question could be anything really that the student wants, such as at the end of the book, did Jim feel sorry for being mean to his friends? And the answer is yes, he did feel sorry for being mean to his friends. Okay, and then moving on very quickly, the last book. If you got a fifth grader, advanced reader, Harry Potter, they'll love it. Have them read the whole book. Now this one, when it comes to summarizing, you can write more like a 5-paragraph essay summarization on this, and that's good. That will improve their reading comprehension. And then when it comes to generating questions, they could even make like a 10 to 20 question test that they give to their friends or to the class for fun, whatever you want to do. Maybe make a Kahoot quiz online, that'd be fun. But generating questions and summarization, same way. It's just the longer the book, the more advanced the book. Basically, the summarization should be longer and more detailed, and the questions that you generate should be probably more in-depth, more detailed, and maybe more questions involved. The first book, maybe 3 questions. This book, you could do 20 questions easily for generating questions. First book, summarizations, just a few sentences. Summarization on Harry Potter, you could write an essay, right? So, again, the literacy skill we covered today was reading comprehension. And then the 2 strategies that we covered to improve our reading comprehension is summarization and generating questions. Both summarization and generating questions will really improve your reading comprehension. A lot of it is just time and practice, boys and girls. You just got to read, and then practice your summarization and your reading or your generating questions to make sure that you fully understood what you read. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.